Hello, Chris Bernard here, Doc29 Consulting. Happy Friday to you. I'm going to move that little mic out of the way. It's kind of annoying me just a little bit, but I think you should still hear me just fine, I hope. Yeah, so I am going to share with you something I'm actually working on right now. We have a client. Let me show you this website right here. Boom. Yeah, share screen with this bad boy right here. There you go. They are called the Polygraph Examiner. Now, Andrew does several different states in terms of polygraph. He is the best of the best, by the way. And so the locations are, just so you know, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. If finding the truth matters, he's the only one that we're aware of anyway that actually travels with a full polygraph chair in order to minimize minimize chances of the people being questioned, whether or not, nervousness and all that stuff. Environment matters, context matters, all that stuff. So he gets into a completely unbiased situation, asks the questions, gets to the truth. He's trusted by police and attorneys up there all over the states of, again, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. Can't say enough about Andrew. He is awesome. But we're always looking at trying to make his website better, right? So one of the things that we have launched was this great little plugin right here that ties directly into his Google My Business listing locations. And as you can see, he's got a lot of locations. So great plugin, but I've never used it before. So instead of just deploying it to his entire website and potentially causing major issues, one of the things that we ended up doing is saying, okay, well, let's just launch it and then test it in a couple different areas. So wanted to see, he's got a couple of different areas where this shows up. So the first one is the homepage. Now I debated whether or not to actually do on the homepage. But then the other page I wanted to actually go ahead and test was actually this one here, which is the second highest page in terms of visibility. So I wanted to make sure we had some volume that we could actually screw around with. And we just launched this week. So I wanted to see what that impact was. Another area where it actually shows up are indeed the blog areas as well. So I believe, yeah, it's actually right on that right-hand side. So the blog areas themselves, they've got the little plug in there, but that one's fairly light in terms of its situation. So what we ended up doing, I'll pull the analytics over here too so you guys can see it. Okay, so I wanted to actually see one of the areas that you can actually look at, by the way, is if you use Google Analytics, you can actually go to behavior and can actually look at site speed and page timings. Okay, and you guys can actually see this. So relationship struggles, and all I did was set this, by the way, for this last, let's say 7 days. Yeah, 7 days. I did want to capture today because, again, as you can see, we launched it on the 27th. So I wanted to kind of see what was going on in terms of this. So actually, I think we launched on the 26th. We saw a spike on the 27th. Actually, we did launch on the 26th. So we saw a spike on the 27th in terms of site load time. I couldn't actually, I mean, it says 40 seconds. It was never even close to that. So don't know exactly what's going on there. But again, what I'm looking at is trends, right? So when I sent this over to Andrew, I believe on Wednesday, I looked at it again and I saw this big spike. I'm going, oh, okay, well, it's only been a day, right? And it was this is across the entire website. But as you can see, we can actually look at the page data individually. So one of the things I looked at was, okay, well, let me go look at, since this is the number one page of this, let me go look and see what that looked like for the trend thus far. So I'm looking at this relationship struggles page, which is, again, this one right here. Okay. And I'm seeing if this actually had an impact. And we launched it again on Tuesday. Wednesday, I pulled it, it's up. And then I'm seeing that it's loading, fairly high on as well in this. But again, I just pulled it up a few moments ago and it looked fine. So I don't see it being, I look at actually, oh geez. So page timing is going to go back to it again. It says it was increasing around the 15th. So if I actually go back from, if I just do like the last 7 days, by the way, yeah, we'll just keep that there. But if I do this, watch this, this, two of these, and go ahead and apply that, it actually is green, right? So again, I'm looking at this data. I'm going, I'm not sure I trust the results just yet in terms of page speed. I can't duplicate it. But let me go ahead and go look at the actual homepage, which is the other area that this is impacting. And again, when I actually look at that, I see the massive spike on Tuesday, but I'm not seeing the significant adjustments going on for the previous 7 days. And if I'm actually going to go ahead and include even today's just for fun to get a larger data set. Oh, goodness gracious. I have no idea. Go back in. I don't know why it's kind of acting up, but I've got it going on through. Let me see if I can get it to go again through today. And it looks like it's pretty high spike. But again, when I actually pull up the data, it looks like the last 2 days it's been resolved. So again, whether or not that code is actually cached matters a lot. So the big takeaway here, guys, is this. If you're going to deploy adjustments into a website, specifically a lot of these plugins, you guys, you definitely want to make sure you're testing it and looking very, very carefully at the impact of that. Now, you can use caching plugins like we use WP Rocket for this because this is a WordPress website to make sure that code is cached. You do need to give it some time, and you do need to actually measure specifically what it was before and what it was afterwards. Because believe it or not, let me go back to, let me see if I can actually expand this now and close that out. So believe it or not, some of these plugins, they're really, really good, even ones that come almost directly from Google. And again, I'm not a coder. All I do know is that things impact, a website speed, right? So when I'm looking at this, I'm kind of trending the speed on it, and I'm making sure that it's not going to impact its business. There are plugins directly from Google that you would think will load, that are a lot thinner in terms of the actual code. Like there was one that what cautioned me about this specific plugin, not from this specific developer, but from another one, is those mapping plugins that you often see like at the bottom with where you can actually look at, and it really doesn't add that much feature and functionality to it, which is one of the reasons why potentially you need to eliminate it anyway. But they had like the map that showed up at the bottom, and it would be kind of fun to play with the location. You can move it around, or you can get directions from it if you clicked it. That slowed a lot of sites down that we initially implemented that on. This was a while ago. They may have improved, but all that to say, guys, is when you do code adjustments with something you're not necessarily familiar with, go ahead and test it. In fact, you could even test on development server. We wanted to just move ahead and test this since it did seem to load very quickly in the test that we did across Chrome, Edge, as well as Firefox, and then even on the mobile devices as well. It seemed to load relatively fast, actually very fast, at least from all aspects that we were able to see. But either way, test this stuff. I can't tell you how many times we've seen it where people seriously, they'll do an update even, and they're not even looking to see what the impact is of that. And then several months later, they're going, we're down X percentage in sales, and we can't figure out why. And you just bust open the analytics, you start peeking around a little bit. You're like, well, what happened on the 28th of, whatever date? And, we implemented these kind of things. Did you happen to look at the speed impact of that stuff and how there's a correlation between that and your rankings? So again, real simple, nothing complicated, but that's what we're seeing, guys, is that, when you're going to do this kind of stuff, make sure that you're considering the impact of it. I guess that at the end of the day is what matters. So I hope this little tip helped. I know that was 10 minutes to look basically at like 3 different slides, but it is an important issue. And I just encourage you to continue to make changes, to make, like in this case here, we wanted to bring some value. Reviews are really, really important. Google's launched that review application where they're looking at reviews, solid reviews, differently than they have, let's say, a month or two ago. And that's going to continue to trend in terms of not just a B2C product kind of based situation, but even in terms of service. So definitely need to be considering it. That was one of the reasons why we drove with it, to actually implement it. And then two, the fact is, because it's a service-based business, reviews matter a lot. So we do know that it has an impact, so we wanted to implement it. So if you want more information on that plugin, it is a paid plugin, by the way. I think it's a very, very good plugin thus far. The jury's still out whether or not it's going to slow down the site to the point where we need to be doing this. Although, again, I don't know. I'm kind of thinking it's not, but we'll see probably like early next week, mid next week. Yeah, have a great weekend, you guys. Hope all is well, and we will talk to you later.